Welcome back to a new episode of Relocate to Happiness podcast. I'm your host, Luca Shaked, and today we will be talking about happiness and AI. My guest is Sean Caetano Martin. He's a remote AI product and full stack system engineer with 15 plus years of experience building products from startup MVPs to enterprise scale platforms. Most recently at rumi.ai, he helped build AI meeting intelligence features, including automated meeting bots, transcriptions, summarization, semantic search, and agentic UI workflows. He also works on open source AI agent tools like Minicoder and others. His strength is turning ambiguous product problems into reliable, scalable systems that ship. Let's dive in. Sean, thank you so much. Welcome to my show. Thank you for coming. And before we start talking about the subject that I'm the most passionate about, so before we start talking about AI, I want to ask you, just for the listeners, to tell us who are you and how do you relate to AI every day?
So thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure to be invited and a pleasure to be here. I'm a software engineer. I have been for most of my life, and as of the event of AI in my profession, I dove headfirst, and I've taken it to myself to be a researcher and look as deeply as I can into the topic.
I'm so excited. I have a lot of questions to ask you, and I'm looking for. I'm trying to figure out how can I ask you the most question, but I will also I will let you answer every question as much as you want, and I know how passionate you are, and I watch you every day, like with a few screens all over and coding, and so I do want to talk about coding, but before that I want to ask you, what is AI? Like, how would you define it in the easiest way possible?
Yeah, we tried this just before it started, and I wasn't happy with the way I explained it there. So I'm trying to make it more of an analogy than explain you the terms. Imagine that you have something that can look through a book, any book, immediately, right? Instead of having to go through the process of reading. Giving you a tool that, if you ask it about the stuff that it was trained on, it's very knowledgeable about it. As AI progressed, it started becoming possible through the algorithms around the model to instruct it how to use function calls, which is what us programmers use to give instructions to the computers.
Mm-hmm.
And at that point, AI changed, right? Because now it can do things for you, but it continues to be, as I like to call it, the great mimic, right? It copies us just enough to make us doubt if it's human, but it really isn't, right? It's just math, it's algorithms, matrices, and if you think like a box full of 3D points that map the geometry of the box, the whole 3D space.
Mm-hmm.
Every time you prompt, you're casting like a cone
Mm-hmm.
in that 3D space. Everything that cone hits,
Mm-hmm.
it's similar in the weights of the models. I'm sure people have heard this term, the weights of the model, how, the matrices weights.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how it knows how to complete your sentences and how to say what's next. It's by similarity, right? So when you say, hey, how's the weather tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
What you're going to hit is all of the weights close to all of the learning that it got about the weather, right? And that's how it's going to decide what it's answering you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's an algorithm. It's a very well-composed and intelligent algorithm,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not thinking. It's not weighing pros and cons. It's basically saying to itself, hey, I'm going to answer this. That doesn't look right. Try again. Oh, I'm going to answer this. Well, change that. Until it finally is happy with its own answer, then it puts out. And when I say happy is, it thinks it matches the original prompt the best.
Mm-hmm. I get it. You can see it, like you can watch it thinking, and and you can see. I remember my first experience with, it sounds bad, but my first time with Claude, I remember I gave him like the first task, and it was like, okay, I want you to clean my whole folders and my whole computer. It took like something like 15 to 20 minutes. But the work was amazing. Like, it was really impressive, and everything. I don't think I've ever had like a cleaner desktop.
So that's a perfect example. You asked them to do something. It's very much core of its training, right? Handling files.
Yeah,
For it to do its learning process, it does handle files. Like, same for programmers. Programmers are very often surprised of how well LLMs use primitives, like the lower level languages. And then it makes sense, right? Because their whole training harnesses are made in that languages and technology. So it's what it learned in its process of reinforcement learning.
One more question while you were speaking. I was also thinking, just like Claude, just slower. Instructions to the model. You mentioned this part.
Yes.
So how can we give like the best instruction to AI, and how important is the context, like when in order to get like the best results? Because you said he's asking himself like back and forward.
Yes.
So yeah.
So as a completion engine, right? Everything it sees as input weigh on the completion, right? So you pair that with the ambiguity of natural language, and now everything that is ambiguous is an opportunity for the model to produce something you didn't expect, right? So there's a whole engineering school growing around us, prompt engineering, context engineering. I'm not sure exactly what term we're going to land, but those are the things that are being referred right now, even to the extent of trying to create long-term memory for LLMs in between sessions so that they can start learning from past mistakes, not repeat past mistakes. But this is all a bunch of artificial stuff that we're tacking on top of the model to kind of try to make it do its job better, right?
Yeah.
So sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked.
The question was, so how do you get like the best instruction that you can give to the model in order to get like the best results and the context into like in the...
As specific as you can. And if there's domain-specific languages like programming languages to explain a behavior, use that instead of a natural language. Examples tend to be less ambiguous than natural language, so give examples. And I think overall we're moving towards the direction, at least professionally, that I don't chat with it, right? Like I write a very detailed technical essay for it to give it instructions, right? It takes me more time nowadays to write a prompt than it does probably writing the code straight up. So I do think that the way that we talk with these things are changing both from our perspective, hence the whole school of doctrine of like prompt engineering, context engineering. But I also think this is a very relevant problem for the frontier labs where they have to keep this notion of the conversational chatbot going, right? Otherwise they alienate half of their user base. So I don't know how exactly these frontier models are going to please everyone, but we'll see.
We will see. To be continued. You mentioned that you don't chat with it. I will go back to it because I'm also getting like a lot of info. I'm processing the information while you're speaking. I want to ask you about coding. Well, how we started, and I wanted to ask you if you always been that kid that was taking the computer apart and looking into this or this like
even
a path
before that.
Even before that.
I remember. I don't know why this is a vivid memory, but I remember being about 6 years old, being in my grandmother's backyard, and someone gifted me a remote control car. The first thing I was told was, don't take it apart. But that was the first thing I did. And that was the first time I put something back together and I had screws left over. And I felt so bad, right? Because usually I was able to put things back together. Or maybe I remember that I was and I wasn't, but that's the nature of being a child. But that type of curiosity lasted, and then when we got our first computer, 486 Intel running Windows 3.11, that's just started something for me. I couldn't believe I was talking with an inanimate object, and when I learned about programming languages and scripting languages and being able to instruct it, I just felt like a wizard. There's no other way to say it. I still feel some days like...
It looks like from somebody that sees you from this side, like working every day.
I truly feel like in some ways computer programming can feel like a superpower, and especially if you're fixing problems for someone else. Whenever you make a really good product that you can see it improving people's day to day, I get a lot of reward from that. That's why I think I mostly focus on small startup teams and being on the latest technology, because it usually enables more of that behavior. But yeah, that's where the passion came from. It was just like, my God, it's so awesome to talk to this machine. This is the future. Then I found video games. Still today, they consume my time. I explored making my own video games. I think the first official program I did was cheats for car racing games way back then. And then it just started maturing. I learned about internet relay chat, IRC or MIRC or whatever, however the world knows it in several different places.
Even I remember, yeah.
And I got into making bots. I learned about Linux as a platform then, because if I wanted to keep an always-on bot, it had to be deployed on a Linux server. That was my first interaction with a server and like renting one and SSH to it. And I know I'm not going to go into like huge technical depths here, but it was my first big taste of technology and remote systems and interacting with networks. And yeah, I just fell in love. And it's going to be 16 years now that I've worked full-time as a developer.
Amazing. Which leads me to the second question about coding. Because coding is known as a lonely, job, being there with the computers and being there by yourself. So because we're talking about happiness here and mental health. So I would like to know, how do you think it impact your mental health?
I think it's from person to person. I've met my fair share of programmers, and I can tell you that, yes, we're a little bit all over the spectrum. Some people are very happy. Some people already see the world ending. Some people are optimistic about the world. Some people see the devil in every technology. Some people hate the direction technology went and just wish things were like they were 20 years ago. So as a breed, programmers are very distinct. I do think that the way that I find happiness is from the reward of solving hard problems and feeling that, I did something that, this is a bit maybe a selfish way of seeing things, but there's some sort of reward into knowing that not a lot of people in the world could have solved that technical challenge, or only people who studied and dedicated themselves to the craft could have reached that type of competency. And it makes you feel good, right? It makes you feel like part of an elite group or a very dedicated domain-specific group.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and to me, that's a big part of the happiness. Like I mentioned before we started, I do have some autistic traits, and I do have a very different relationship with solitude, where I take a lot of comfort in it. So to me, spending the afternoon alone hacking away at the keyboard kind of sounds like a very nice day. I have the opposite problem, right? I need to go to our co-working to relate to other people and hang out with other people, and not just, isolate myself from society. I'm sure there's several programmers that have the opposite problem, that they just want a more social interaction.
Yeah, that's why you're keeping a good balance. It sounds like
I haven't always, right? Like you know me now as this much thinner person, but not so long ago I weighed like 50 kilos more, and I was, the generic fat nerd that sits in his desk all day. So it's been a ride. It's been a ride of me finding my own mental health, coming to terms with aspects of my life that I hadn't before. So, yeah.
It's a great progress.
It's important to know, what makes you wake up in the morning and feel happy. And it's also very important to look at the things that make you feel not, and understand why.
That's a very deep one. But I want to go back to our subject. We're going to talk. We will continue this one. I want to go. Let's start happiness in AI, and I want to ask you about AI and if you actually think that AI will make us happier, or is it the wrong question? Can I say that? Do you think that?
I think it's the wrong question. I think it's very much the wrong question. Let me ask you this way. Do you think that people who saw the electricity for the first time becoming part of society felt happier for it?
I hope so, no?
Do you think it was a factor that made him think, because I have electricity, I'm happier?
No.
But it was what electricity brought that elevated quality of life that made people happy. But that's what history wrote. I'm sure if you go back at the time, there was plenty of people angry that their job was gone, that their life was changing. We saw the same thing happening more recently with the internet, and then again with the dot-com boom, then again with crypto. Sure, these last three were in magnitude smaller than electricity and AI.
Yeah.
But there's still the re-emerging pattern of every time technology leaps forward, the job force is affected. Why do I think things are worse now? Is because we, as a globe, are capitalists. But it's a very manipulative capitalism, right? Because we're not selling utility. We're selling ideas and dreams. If you go to any seminar about how to be a salesman, it's prey on emotions.
It's true.
You sign up for any subscription, you regret it, and then you don't want to spend the hour or more of navigating dark patterns to undo that subscription. So you just let it linger. And this type of predatory marketing and divulgation makes that these frontier labs, because their goal is a good IPO. Nothing else. It's not making the best technology. It's not making technology for humans. It's the IPO. It's normal. It's a company. We're a capitalist society. That's what they do.
Yeah.
So when you hear that AI is going to take all the jobs, like the Anthropic CEO recently was under fire for saying that the GDP was going to skyrocket as well as unemployment, and we were going to live in a world where everyone seems rich but unemployed, and it's going to be a cataclysm. Sam Altman from OpenAI said similar things in the past, and very recently, as of this week, they're walking back their statements because the marketing push has fizzled out, right? I told you that us programmers have been using the term AI psychosis for this deep dive, and we're all reaching the same conclusion. If you see my feed on X or any other new developer newsletter,
it's completely different to mine or to
we're all writing articles about, hey, yeah, I tried it. It's awesome for a lot of things. It's not going to replace me. You still have to think. You still have to be deciding things. Because in the end, if you have your AI build your product, you can also interrogate it about, hey, this is not working. Can you do this better or not? But then your prompt is not just what you said. It's what you said, the folder it's on, the code's written on there, all of the notes. And then it starts becoming really difficult without proper engineering practices to actually improve. Until AI can look ahead to, shooting itself in the foot with a mistake, we're still going to be very much needed. And that's
we as in us, the humans?
Humans, yeah. In general, like when you train a model, you give it a ceiling and a floor, which is everything from start to finish that it goes into its training data. Now, if you want to reinvent the wheel, these LLMs are great because they have in their minds, in their weights, all of the information of previous human attempts of the problem. But now you ask them to do something new, to innovate, to be creative, to actually take things that never worked together into a new path. It's practically impossible, right? Because they can do what they were trained on. They don't have that spark that humans have of, this shouldn't be like this, but I'm going to try. And then something comes out. AIs don't do that.
Okay, I like where it's going this conversation. I think we have optimism here.
Yes,
I'll
be right clear. I don't believe AI is going to destroy the world. I think things are going to change a lot, but I don't think it's the world-ending event.
No, world-ending. So, yeah, because my next question was about this fear that is in the air that the future will change, AI will replace us, people won't have any jobs, people, they won't need humans. So do you think it's going to this, you kind of answer?
I'll expand a little bit more, right? You have the two extremes. Some very ill-fated decision puts weapons of mass destruction into an AI with the wrong prompt and without supervision. And the same way that I let AI write bad code on accident, something really bad happens, right? And then the consequences from that are escalating, and it's then that's how you'd see a world-ending event.
Give me some example of like something really bad.
Let's say that your defense system for missiles or whatever is managed by AI. For some reason, it misunderstands a prompt, decides to use it as an attack weapon on an innocent country. The repercussions from that are gigantic.
It sounds pretty bad, yeah.
You go into a gray area of military chaos and lack of accountability of who pressed the button. That can do a lot of damage to a modern future. But that's an extreme, right? And the other extreme is like utopia arrives, right? All industry dependencies for human life and comfort go a level down to these robots and AIs, and we comfortably live in gardens and spaceships, and none of us have to work again, and all of our jobs is creative and art, and we just have another Renaissance era.
Mm-hmm.
These are both extremes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting old. I've heard a lot of extremes predictions.
Mm-hmm.
I'm yet to live through one. I think the closest to an extreme I lived through was COVID. Everything else ends in the mild middle.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I don't think AI is going to land anywhere else than the mild middle.
Let's hope for that. And I love it. I could hear it, forever. And I think it's like super interesting. And I think, we do have to, because there was like a lot of people are hysterical about it.
Yeah.
And also I think there is like a huge difference, I would like to say, between, so on one hand, everybody around me, they're just building AI agents and people are talking to the bots. And so there are a lot of people into it, of course, the early adapters. And I'm lucky to be in an environment that we talk a lot about AI. On the other hand, I was telling you before that I talked to my friend and I was like, Claude, and she was like, who's Claude? She has never heard of Claude. So I also think that like women are not as early adapters as men, and I think there is like a huge difference. There's a gap in in adopting the new AI tools. But my question is like, just to keep on the optimism here, where AI cannot replace us? Where's one thing that we're like it's so human that AI cannot take it away from us?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. As much as I write terrible English, when I want to talk with another human being, I write myself. Being genuine, and there's no other better adjective. It's terrible for this expression, but acting human, right? AIs are mimics. You spend enough time seeing LLM output, and it takes one character for you to recognize that wasn't a human who wrote it.
It's true. I can recognize AI text easily.
Like you see an M dash, you immediately like, no.
Yeah,
you see an emoji on a formal text, you're like, no, that wasn't the human. Mm-hmm. But then you see run-on sentences, and you're like, yeah, that's human. Humans do run-on sentences.
Yeah.
You see expressions in dialogue like haha or hey, and you're like, okay, that's human.
Yeah, it's true.
So the moment that you start recognizing that is where you start drawing the line of what's human or not, right?
Yeah.
And also the ability to change your mind. This is the most human thing you got.
Yeah,
you can look at something and say, hey, I messed up. And I'm going to learn from this so I don't mess up again. Or I had a wrong opinion and someone came along, fed me more information, and I want to change my opinion because I learned. AIs can't do that without fine-tuning training or reinforcement training.
Can I say like critical thinking? Okay.
Critical thinking is a good example because critical thinking requires you to break established rules, right? So if you want to think outside of the box, I hate that expression because it doesn't mean anything, but if you want to think from a different perspective, you need to force yourself to do so, right? It's not easy. Your first thoughts are always your own, but if you want to play devil advocate against yourself, it's quite difficult. I think that's very human. Self-doubt. Have you ever seen an LLM hesitate or think it's wrong? No, they'll confidently tell you they're the best of everything, even though if they're producing output that is garbage. But there's no sense of doubt. There's no sense of self-worth. And all of these things, when they pass together, it makes it really easy to tell why humans can't be replaced. But again, this is a consequence of the marketing and just how AI is being put out to the world, right? It's being put out as this magical thing that is incredibly superpower, like nothing we've ever seen before, which is an exaggeration, right? It's made to sell products. It's made to have people impressed and spending. So I think that education is what fixes this. The more people understand exactly what LLMs are and why these companies like fear-mongering behind them, the better everyone will go, the better, the happier people will be, and the less doomsdayers will be there.
I completely agree with you. You have to meet my professor. He was also talking about like thinking and about what you said, just with other words. you mentioned it, I'm trying, to again, I'm processing. I'm thinking, what I should ask you next. And the first thing that it's in my head, keeping on the human part. I'm trying to think. It's like in my crowd of people and what I've seen around. AI is all about productivity. AI is writing our emails, is writing our blogs, is writing our social media posts. You mentioned the M dash. I don't even know how to make it on the keyboard. I was like, how the hell do you do the M dash on the keyboard? Right? So these are, everybody's looking for that. They want to do things faster. The companies, they want you to do things, faster and more productive. So, it's perfect. But my question is like, what are like the underrated things, like those things that we should use the AI, and they are not the most common, like what I just mentioned.
Yeah, so I'll give you one that's very close to my heart. I'm not a fan of social media. Social media to me is a product of marketing and fear of missing out and a way to kind of sneak ads when people think they're just following other humans.
Yeah.
And the whole energy behind it, I really don't like it. Unfortunately, as a developer, and to stay within the developer community, I need to interact with the developers, and social media ends up being a really good place for that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And before LLMs, I suffered because I'm not very good at putting a stop to what I'm doing if I'm interesting, so I would fall into the gotcha of scrolling down.
Scrolling.
Forever.
Yeah, many people.
And I kept annoying myself with that, and I wanted really to put distance to that. So now I have an agent that he's the one that checks all of the social networks, and I have it on my WhatsApp. So I can just say, hey, give me like the tone of what's today's social media message.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And he'll give me a bunch. He'll give me excerpts of my favorite people that I follow, other developers that I look up to, and people like Mario Zechner or Armin, that there are people who talk a lot on Twitter about AI. And these are people who are already great developers before AI. Mm-hmm. And now they're even more, and they speak the same message that I do. That it's not like this above all super being that's going to destroy the world or change the world into a different perspective.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a great example, and one I give to people is that I hate social media, and now I can get all the benefits from it without being baited into that user experience and the dark pattern of keeping you in the site. And as a programmer, I know the amount of thinking that goes behind these algorithms about these user experiences. To capture in there. So because I know them, being captured by them makes me feel terrible. So I fight against it quite a bit.
You don't give up, right? Like now that you're talking, you know what I'm thinking? I actually also have I asked Claude to read my emails because I always, no, it's not FOMO, but like I always think that my emails are piling up, and if I'm for a couple of days, not checking or on holidays or something, so I have like a daily digest, or how do you call that?
Exactly. I did. So, that's exactly what I did.
It's just like it gives me the. I don't always check it unless I'm with my computer, but like it. Yeah. So you have this email, you haven't answered yet, and you have this and this and this. So it just like kind of makes our lives easier.
And that's the big aspect of it that I tell people. So I use this with a very simple way. It's a project called OpenClaw. It swept the world around AI, and it's basically an always-on agent.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And most people, their initial reaction is like, but I don't need this. Why would I need this? And the truth is, like, everyone would benefit this, right? So it's good enough that if you have a good computer at home like I do, you can run everything in your home.
Yeah.
And you text message it like any other thing.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, if I need to give you an answer right now that it's not part of my notes that I keep looking down, I can just very quickly type to it and say, hey, remember that document we wrote earlier?
Yeah.
It's missing this and that. Go look for it right now.
Oh.
And it can do it, right? And if you pile up all of these minor things, it becomes a really helpful thing.
It's true, yeah.
It's just not that, you're not friends with Einstein and he's not your servant. Like, it's
no, it's not.
There's a lot of limits, right? It's great mimic, right? It looks like you're talking to the human, but it really isn't.
I love that with a great mimic. I will use this. I will quote you on this expression. I want to give you. I just remember something. So a few weeks ago, I was a guest in just to continue with that. It's not like the best solution always. So a few weeks ago, I was a guest in for a podcast, and I was asking the usually I'm the host, so I'm laid back. Everything is okay. I'm controlling. I don't have to answer to everything. I just have to to do some research, write some questions before, and then I take it from there. I feel very comfortable in my own studio here. So anyway, I was a guest. I was freaking out. I'm asking the host, like, do you have any questions? 2 days before, she gives me the script, AI, obviously. From minute 5 to minute 10, from this and then this part, this second part, Now I'm looking at the questions and, paragraphs, and I'm like, whoa,
See,
the hell?
To me, that's a perfect sign of someone who delegated the thinking and the decisions.
So, it's stuff that I supposed to know. So what? Not even. So it doesn't stop here. So she gave me the questions in AI. I took the questions. I put them into Claude. Now Claude gives. Claude gave me even.
No one reads anymore. No one reads.
No, and then Claude puts the answers the questions. So now I don't understand the questions and I don't understand the answers. Like to this point, to this extent, and I was like, okay. Luca, breathe in. You know this. This is positive psychology. This is parenting, nervous system stuff. You know this stuff. So I literally, what I did was, just putting, okay, I did use the Claude to help me out, but I just wrote specific points, things that, I want to talk about this and this and this, like very... And I'm like, okay, I'll just say it with my own words. It was like the worst, the most complicated PhD paperwork that I ever...
Because that's what it's in its training data, right?
Yeah,
it's not just the best theses, it's all of the theses.
Exactly.
So unless you steer it to the right area of the vector space where that high quality memories are, it's going to grab you the average. And the average is never good enough.
Yeah. No, it was quite an experience. It was...
But that's what you just described is, I think, what most programmers are arriving to is after trying a lot to have the computers write good code and reinventing a lot of good engineering that we've learned over the last 20, 30, 40 years, to eventually get to the point to understanding that it's easier to have it occasionally help you with the code and help you automate boring tasks or multi-step things that never change. But the coding itself, thinking about the problem, getting engrossed in the problem, growing with the problem, that's how you solve problems. And you can't delegate that.
It's true. Words of wisdom here.
You make me sound much smarter than I really am. Thank you.
Come on. Come on, I know why I invited you here, and I'm really excited for the listeners because I'm so focused on what you're saying. So if it's like, I always say that if it's interesting for me, it's also interesting for somebody else, and I'm completely captured into. And again, I knew the questions. So thank
I hope so. I'm trying my best to not hype or doomsday about AI and just give the most.
The doomsday.
Give it the most personal take I have, because as someone I even wrote an article last night in preparation for this, and I ended up publishing it on my blog. I'll share it.
Yes, please. I wanted to ask you. Yes, share with us.
But the article kind of goes over a lot what I'm saying today, and it was a good preparation because I reached that conclusion. Right, I started in December thinking, "Wow, okay, let's see how much these things can do." I even got to the point of writing my own harness around them, giving very particular tools, giving them ways to control my computer, making all of the accessibility improvements that I could to let the model be independent. And the hardest part was getting it to keep working. It kept wanting to say, I'm done, right? That was the first big blocker that made, continuous, like this was almost 7 months of continuous iteration on how to find a pattern of engineering that worked with these LLMs. And in the end, the way that works is using them for the parts that take a lot of time. Like, for example, publishing a blog post. Before AI, my process is go get all of the notes since the last time I wrote a blog post. And I'm super disorganized. I think you saw like a little bit of my notes, but it's just plain text.
It's okay. I've seen worse.
And it's gigabytes and gigabytes of things that I'm constantly like, pull a piece of paper. Hey, don't forget about this later. Hey, you learned this today. And then every once in a while I would sit down and spend, countless hours. Okay, this note's garbage. This note's garbage. Okay, this is meaningful, but it's out of context. And that's how like my blog posts would grow. And the result was I've never posted it.
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
With AI now, I wrote a skill that explains the process I've always procrastinated into not doing.
Mm-hmm.
I showed him the folder with all the notes, and I told him, all right, it's your job now. I'm going to tell you, go write a blog post, use notes X, Y, and Z, and fill in the gaps.
Well.
And then, but he's not allowed to publish that because I know it's going to come out in AI voice. And
yeah, exactly. This is another way, like to make AI sound like you and to start getting your tone of voice and the way that you're writing. And
so then I grab that and I tell it, hey, make that into a bullet point skeleton of the post. And then I write the post. And this was like that for the first 15 posts.
And then also do the editing, right? Like
everything.
Yeah.
And then at that point, with 15 posts in the blog, with a lot of notes on how I write, things like I usually tend to use a lot of self-deprecating humor. I try not to be superlative, right? Like I try not to sell things as the extremes. And after having enough context for the LLM, I could say, hey, I've written this 15 blog posts. Here's also a lot of my writing. You can always go look at it. Now, do your best to make it sound like me.
Yeah.
And it never gets it perfectly. But now, instead of writing a blog post in a day and then procrastinating when I realized I had more days of work to write a blog post comes out in 15 minutes.
The most.
And that's me kind of being very careful.
Yeah.
So that really exemplifies what AI is good at. It's not good at writing the post, of what the contents of the post should be, but it's great of making sure I don't sound like English is my second language, which really is, but it hides that part. I can give it words and sentences in Portuguese that express better what I want to say, and then it puts it in, a consistent English post.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot that it can do for you. You got to be the one thinking, though.
You
the one that putting
like,
forward the content. I see a lot of people putting AI-generated blog posts and stuff like that, and then they feel like a waste of time to reading because it's a regurgitation of something else.
Yeah, I agree.
It doesn't come from a genuine human input, like notes from experience of working with something, or even like a skeleton of a blog post. So I think that's the key of using AI. Like the human factor, don't automate that part. Automate all of the boring stuff that used to take you forever to do.
Yeah, it's true. Okay, talking about boring stuff, I will start. I will start talking. No, It was how do you say? It's not a way to introduce feelings, and I wanted to talk about AI and and the human touch. That part where us, the human, and I have friends, and I think millions of people that are today talking to AI chatbots more than they talk to other people, and I think it's also so people stop talking to other people and they talk to the chatbots. My question is, how do we? It's like a technology. What do you think about that?
That's very scary. I didn't have that perspective. When you told me that, I went and did some research because I was like, "There's no way." I couldn't believe it. I'm like, there's no way people are thinking that this thing is emotionally relating to them.
Well, me here.
I say this without any judgment or critique.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I use it as a coach, like not as a therapist, but I use it as a coach. And I was like ping-ponging. It worked. It was okay.
And that's kind of what I started understanding. That is a very fair use. Like, I have my own mental health person. Every time that something comes out of that session that I don't understand or I have questions about, instead of boring her with my autistic questions, now I can bore the AI with my autistic questions.
Yeah.
And really dig into the topic without, feeling any shame or for not knowing, right? Because that's another human factor is that people are very reluctant to say, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, but with the AI, you don't care. You can say, I don't know as much as you want. So I think that plays a big part. The part that I understood and it scared me is to be a good psychologist, it's not only training, right? It's context of where we are in the world, why people are feeling in a certain way, what external pressures exist, what character traits might be present in the person that steer him to perceive the world in a certain way. All of that is too much information for an LLM to grasp.
For chatbot, yeah.
Because their training ended a few months ago.
Yeah.
What if you're stressed out because there's a war in the Middle East?
Yeah.
It doesn't know.
It doesn't. It can, yeah.
And even if it knew, it has no way to know how important that is for a human. It doesn't see your eyes. It doesn't see your emotions. It doesn't see how you physically react to
your
certain
body
topics.
language.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, if you are using any LLM as your main source of mental health, I urge you to watch some videos on how LLMs actually work. I always recommend Andrej Karpathy because he has very, very, very informative videos. And he has this magical ability of explaining really complex topics in very layman's terms. I will give you the
No,
YouTube.
I'm just writing. How do you spell it? Andrej Kaparsky? How do you
Andrej Karpathy. So
okay, you just give us a title, and also I will.
I'll give you his YouTube channel so everyone can just follow the link.
Yeah, we can follow the link. Sorry, go ahead.
But that's the key thing, right? Is to learn that what you're talking about is just it's very similar to a computer compiler, right, or a processor, right? It's stateless. For a moment that the information passes on, it can mimic a proper response. But it's not, there's no continuity there. It's not thinking with you. It's not, probing your feelings or testing how you react to certain hypotheticals or emotions. That's the real value you get from a professional in mental health. So I urge people who don't understand that to give it a chance to a real human first. I'll guarantee you'll be much happier. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, but ChatGPT is more accessible, more affordable.
Exactly, yeah.
There's also a lot of students in psychology that are happy to take you in for a session. They'll do it for free, and you're going to get some of the most modern psychology treatment you can because these people are learning it in college right now. So try it out. Give humans a chance.
Give humans a chance. Okay, I love that. So wait, so if you hear about any friend and you hear that he's replacing a therapist with AI, what would you say? I wouldn't say what would you advise because you tell me like what
if it's
would be
a
your
close
reaction?
friend, I'm putting some sense into it. I'm just going to be very blunt. Like I'm going to tell him like, no, you're believing bytes, ones and zeros, matrices on a memory chip. Like that's pure nonsense. Like that's the definition of insanity. You are believing something that has been programmed to tell you yes to complete
everything, yeah.
to complete your sentences in a positive, agree-along fashion. We all know the dangers of having a yes, being surrounded by people that only tell you yes, that's good, that you never receive critique or negative feedback. The AI is exactly that.
I think I think it's improving. I think we talked about it. That at the beginning was like you just propose ideas, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea." And then now slowly they're starting to challenge you. Is it like the model is getting more?
I don't. So at first I thought, and we did talk about this, and I thought that they're starting to be able, but that was short-lived. That was very short-lived. I do this test recurrently. Every time a new model from any of these new frontier models comes out, I give them a genuinely bad idea. Like bad programming idea. That the only possible answer is, excuse me, man, that's not okay. Right?
Yeah.
And they still say, yeah, let's do it.
Wow. What are you using now? Can you tell us? Like,
At the moment, most of my programming tasks are all done with ChatGPT 5.5.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why I moved away from Claude. One is availability.
You left Claude?
Yeah.
And you didn't tell me? Oh my God. Okay.
So Anthropic, as a company, unfortunately, has relied a lot on very weird building approaches. And us programmers are inventors, people who like to use things in the non-standard way. And that's one of the ways that Anthropic punished us by using Claude programmatically, like I use it a lot. Like I said, I don't really chat with it. It's more expensive now. It goes through a different billing thing. And to be quite honest, that set me off. I was like, you know what? You want it that way? So be it. There's plenty of alternatives.
Exactly.
So I switched to OpenAI, and I've been using OpenAI models, and I can confidently say that I feel like I get better work done from them. And one big thing, and yesterday found out it's called Deep Bench. It's a new benchmark for LLMs that kind of tests their real world performance. And it was the first benchmark that I saw produce results that match my personal experience. And one of the things that the highlights of that study that came out, and I feel important to share this to everyone that uses Claude, is that the biggest takeaway from this new benchmark is that GPT is surprising that it will do exactly what you say, even if it's a terrible, bad way to do it. Claude will forget the alternate side of the coin. So think of this way. Hey, Claude, I want you to make sure that this door opens that way and this way. Claude's end result is that the door is only going to open one way. He's going to completely forget about the other part.
Okay.
So pick your evil, right? Like you want someone that's true literal and will do way too much than you asked, or do you want the guy who forgot the half of the project every time? But that's what you're choosing from. Obviously, I'm being extreme and a bit fascistic here. But the point is just they're based on their training data and how they were trained and the format of the rewards, and that's where their perceived personality changes. But in the end, it's just different weights in the matrices.
I was thinking a few weeks ago, I've sent a message to my husband and I said, listen, I'm leaving you. I found the love of my life. His name is Claude.
Oh,
and I kid you not. I sent him the message, of course, and he sent me, bro, you scared me. And so now I have to tell him I'm going back to ChatGPT?
Yeah. Well, Andrej Kaparti, the person I just recommended everyone go learn LLMs from, is part of Anthropic today. So, maybe Claude will do a comeback.
Let's see. Yeah, I won't send it. I think I scared him enough the first time.
But look, don't cheerleader for any of them. They're corporations.
So, just to stay out and to
use the one that gives you the better result. So for $200 a month, which is what I give myself for my personal AI budget, that fits. Used to be the Claude subscription, and then I started hearing the max usage all the time. And it started really impacting my day-to-day work. Because at the time, I was running benchmarks and really testing models. So I did some research and found out that exactly for the same money given to OpenAI, I get 5.5 at the maximum settings, and I never hit the limits. So how can you argue with this deal?
Very, very stingy.
Right? With OpenAI, I leave models running benchmarks for 24 hours straight without fear of a huge bill when I get home because in my subscription. With Claude, I would be here sweating thinking, oh man, if it goes wrong, I'm going to see like $5,000 in my bill later. So I think that how they do business is how you should look at. Forget about the models. In terms of competency, they're pretty much there. I mean, it's been the quickest flattening of a progression curve I've ever seen. From 5.2 to 5.5, we did a graph like very up and now flat. So, but we'll see. Supposedly today, Anthropic is announcing Claude 4.8. We'll see if it's a new big step forward.
We have to record a new episode only on that subject.
I'm happy to it.
But meanwhile, I want to ask you more about happiness because we forgot we got all with the flow with AI, and I want to ask you just a few last questions about happiness and what is happiness for you, and how would you define it, and of course what is AI's role in this definition, if it can even be.
I think like every technology is quality of life, right? And in the modern world, at least for me, quality of life translates into free time. Right? The more time I have to go to the beach with my dog, the happier I am. The more time I have to go hiking in the Pyrenees for the summer, the happier I'm going to be. AI is not a silver bullet that I can go hiking while it does my job, which would be awesome if it did. But it is powerful enough to make sure that on a daily basis I have more time, right? So I can do the job of 8 hours work faster and better. I'll give you an example, and it's not the way people are thinking. As a developer, sometimes you get blocked on what you want to do because the dependency or something else needs to change before you can do your task. That usually sets things back, causes delays. Now, if the task is well-defined and scoped, you can say, no, I'm going to keep working what I'm working on. I'm just going to set the agent to do this missing gap. And the more you start selectively choosing where to optimize with LLMs is where you start seeing the gains. So I went from being someone who coded almost 12 hours a day to doing about the same amount of work in 4 or 5.
Well, huge difference.
And I went through my AI psychosis, which made it so that I worked 12 hours a day, much more, but never made so much progress, right? Because then your cognitive capacity is the barrier, and you start leaving a bunch of work to do, and things fall out of scope. So I'm back to, I own the code, I write most of the code. The LLM is there to pair program with me and help me fill in gaps, and that way I can finish my work faster and be happier outside of work. Because I do love what I do for a living, but work is work, right? I do have personal hobbies and things I'd rather do with my time, including reading. I think
we talked about a few books you recommended me.
Yeah,
some of them.
I'm more and more going back to reading actual books, feeling the paper in my hands. More because someone sat down with me, and he's a friend of mine from Thailand. He's big into Muay Thai. He's done it his whole life, and now he's all about meditation. And he keeps selling it to me. And I asked him, like, look, I can't just sit there and not do anything. It's not part of my nature. So how close can I get to meditation? And he said, sit down and read. It trains your attention against against sparse attention. And it's a good practice to just force yourself to consistently do something that can be seen as monotonous, right? And then your brain only has the option to care about what it's reading. And then you get more engrossed in the books. And I started doing that, and it's been mostly the last 3-4 years that if I have time to grab the dog, go to a nice place, sit with a book, and let it loose, that's what I'm going to be doing. And I'm happy to say that so far, AI has allowed me to do that a lot more.
Wonderful. So wrapping up, again, one more question about AI in the future and happiness, of course. Let's say in 10 years from now, what do you think that, how will AI affect our happiness?
I don't have a crystal ball.
You don't have a crystal? Come on.
I don't have a crystal ball. I'll look at the money. Because, like I said earlier, it's inevitable that we are in a capitalist society. Whatever moves the more money is going to go forward, right? And I think before things normalize into a common, there's going to be a lot of fluctuation, right? These companies want to have good IPOs. There's going to be a lot of sensationalism, superlatives, world ending, jobs ending. AI is going to be revolutionary, and there's going to be a lot of overselling. So it's going to be tricky to navigate the next few years. With that said, if you're a competent, smart person and you're willing to learn new tools, don't be scared. Just make sure that you are learning about how the world is changing. You are reading, not just accepting what you see on social media. Remember that if it's on social media, someone paid to be there. And just, seek knowledge before believing anything you see. Because it's going to keep you grounded to what LLMs really are and not what people want you to buy.
Fascinating. One more question, and we say goodbye. Where you mentioned your blog post, so I would like to know, where can we follow you? How can people see about your projects? How can we get in touch with you? I will also put the links, but
the best way is on X. So I know some people don't like X. I've been there since it was Twitter, and very early on, I created my account because I applied to work there when I was just a junior engineer a long time ago, and I just, like I said, I don't like social media, so it's mostly a dead account. But I do check it, I do repost some things, and I do post my articles on there. And everyone's welcome to just shoot me a message if they want to chat or if they want to question anything about I said here or correct my mistakes. I'm always happy to improve and learn and get feedback from everyone else. So go to X, and then from there you can find tweets about recent posts that I've written, and it's a lot easy like that. So at Shonekes, which is my internet name. It's XONECAS.
Okay. Again, I will.
Please do check, because no one's gonna know how to spell it.
Yeah, exactly. I will spell. Yeah, I will write it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. This was a real pleasure, and I hope I didn't yap too much, because these are topics that I'm really interested by, and it's very easy for me to ramble on.
You were far from rambling, and I think that you kept my interest, and I think that you're gonna keep other people's interest as well.
That's
So
awesome.
thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Thank
And
you so
definitely
much.
not the last one.
It's my pleasure, and yeah, I hope that this helped everyone get a better perspective on what LLMs are and how to be happy around them.
So true.